Sutra, resource, law, present. The one who wins is the one who lives in the present here and now. The one who wins is the one who wants to be, not have, to live, not prepare for life. We'll start living fully once we grow up. We hear similar statements from people almost daily, who believe they will start living life to the fullest when the right circumstances come. But today is just a draft, a preparation for the bright future. The trap, however, is that there is no bright future. There is only the present, which we either make bright and beautiful or gray and dull. If we can't value what we have now, we likely won't appreciate what's to come. The deferred life syndrome is a disease of modern civilization. Many people's minds live far into the future, or the past. After 20 years of working without a break, without paying enough attention to their health, relationships, or spiritual growth, by the age of 40-50, they find themselves with a poorly functioning body, even worse relationships, and a deep internal crisis. This happens because we rarely think about the meaning of life. We run like hamsters in a wheel, achieving imaginary goals, creating an attractive external image without much concern for what's inside. We live with dreams of the future but fail to learn from the present. If we truly want something, we should start by making the most of today's circumstances. Don't put life off until tomorrow, it's too fleeting. Embrace your past, reflect on tomorrow but live for today. Live life to the fullest, as much as your present reality allows. The famous German philosopher Erich Fromm wrote an entire book titled To Have or To Be, in which he contrasts two ways of living, one centered on creativity, the other on accumulation. In work, love, relationships, and all our actions, we either seek to create something new or cling to what we've already obtained or stumbled upon. Fromm expands on the ideas of Karl Marx, about alienation from oneself, from one's work, and Sigmund Freud, about closed and open social behaviors, which have their sexual parallels. The outstanding Roman philosopher and statesman Seneca gave this advice to his friend: hold on to today, and you'll be less dependent on tomorrow. Otherwise, while you're postponing, life will fly by. He claimed that it's not the length of life that matters, but the fullness of each day lived. It lies in what happens to us daily, or rather, in what we fill each day with. It's foolish to regret what we lack, it's wise to rejoice in what we have. Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of the USA, whose portrait appears on the $100 bill, is credited with the famous phrase, "Time is money," meaning that nothing is more valuable than time, life. This principle is explored from a philosophical, cultural, and sociological perspective by Max Weber in his renowned work The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. A careful attitude towards life, its meaning, and productive labor attracts more opportunities to us, financial, personal, and institutional. The word tomorrow was invented for indecisive people and for children. Ivan Turgenev. Does the sun shine for me today so that I can ponder yesterday? Friedrich Schiller. Today, we often hear phrases like "How much is your time worth?" or "Our time is your money." In our society, much is measured by money, and time is no exception. However, religious traditions offer a different perspective on time. In Islam, human life, that is, a person's time on earth, belongs to Allah. Time is given to perform good deeds and to strengthen one's faith, iman, upon which one's fate after death depends. If a person lives according to the path ordained by the Almighty, they achieve Allah's favor. Islam encourages believers to hasten in doing good deeds and, moreover, to outdo one another in their completion. Being mindful of the present moment ensures that nothing is wasted. Yet, it is often difficult, as people tend to squander the present, dwelling on the past or future. Such fixation points to an inability to live in the present and influence one's life. Yesterday is history that cannot be changed, tomorrow is a hidden mystery, and today is the present, given as a precious gift. A person can influence their future only by living the present correctly. The Quran says, "Fear Allah, and let every soul look to what it has put forth for tomorrow." Quran 59:18. Therefore, the wisest thing for a person to do is ask Allah for guidance and perform each task as best as possible, entrusting the future to the Creator. A believer worries about the future only when unsure of the truth and righteousness of their chosen path. The Gospel of Matthew relays Christ's words, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Matt 6:34. The sayings of the Desert Fathers, descriptions of the lives and teachings of Egyptian monks in the 5th-6th centuries, explain this passage with reference to the elder Piman, "Do not grow faint-hearted, asking, 'What will happen tomorrow?' Instead, think and speak daily about today, about this very moment, and start doing what is necessary for yourself, considering God's work as your main task. Remember, excessive care about tomorrow will distract you. In life, every moment holds a miracle and eternal youth." Albert Camus. Saint Basil the Great, 4th century, also expressed reverence for the present. The sun must not be allowed to set in the anger of a brother, otherwise the night may separate the two, and leave them inevitable condemnation on the day of judgment. Nor should we postpone the time of our correction, for neither is the future day certain for us. Many, having planned many things, have not lived to see the morrow. 827. The need to be conscious of the present preached in John Chrysostom, "Do not put off until tomorrow, this tomorrow never ends. Remind yourself every day that now in our hands, and tomorrow is in God's hands, and that He who gave you the morning did not bind Himself with the promise that He would also give you the evening. Therefore, do not listen to the devil when he whispers to you, 'Give me today,' but give God tomorrow. Tomorrow. No, no, spend all the hours of your life in a way that is pleasing to God, keeping in mind that after this hour you will not be given another, and that for every minute of this hour you will have to give the most detailed account. Remember that there is no price for the time which you have in your hands, and that if you waste it, the hour will come when you will seek it and not find it." 828. The present should be spent joyfully. The present should be spent in joy. In the first letter to the Thessalonians, the Apostle Paul writes to his disciples, "Rejoice always." 1 Thess 5:16. In another letter, "Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say, rejoice." Philosophy 4:4. For no circumstances, neither height, nor depth, nor any other creature, can separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. Rom 8:39. Don't repent for the past, you will soon grow old. Don't believe in tomorrow. To live in the present means to live with all the maximum possibilities of the present. The past should not influence the plans of a person living in the present. It restrains his freedom and slows down his development, puts him in deadlocks. The reflexive consciousness, which is always in this past, clings to the past, plays out losing positions and combinations beforehand, without finding a proper, innovative approach to them. Energy fades when the memory cherishes only former victories or, even worse, former dramas and crises. But it is necessary to retain and use in the present the offensive energy of past achievements and the wisdom gained from past defeats. The ability to think abstractly sometimes plays a bad trick on people. it prevents us from living in the present, disconnects them from the reality we are engaged in right now, and turns their actions into ineffective ones. Here are some typical complaints in which many of us recognize ourselves. When I am about to express my idea to my boss, I think about what the boss will think about me, whether it is appropriate to talk about this and that. Past failures come up. I think about what will happen if I don't like the idea, what to do next. The result: decreased motivation, general disappointment in oneself, and a drop in self-esteem, which further deepens fears of talking to superiors. When I get into a new company, I try to visualize what I need to do and say to get people to like me. I worry about what will happen if I repeat the situation when last New Year's Eve I felt superfluous in the company. I try to analyze what I did wrong. The result: a person again feels superfluous, his self-esteem is damaged again, despair and disappointment consume him instead of positive emotions. What are all these situations characterized by? A person is anywhere but in the present, in past situations, in dreams and plans for the future, in fantasies, that is, in general and an abstractly existing reality, in various assumptions. What if? Life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans. John Lennon. The trouble is that the emphasis on this way of seeing the world is fostered in most of us by our parents and our culture. How many of us were told as children and young adults, think with your head, try to foresee the consequences. And given examples of our own or others, often negative, experiences. This thought in itself is not a bad thing. Where you can think about the available information, calculate the chances, evaluate reasonably your capabilities and reactions of other participants of the situation, it should be done. But the whole problem is that everything has a limit. No single, even the most sophisticated analytical tool can account for all the variables of this world. No human being can predict all the consequences. No action, given all the possible inclusions of reality, is 100% predictable. And living in the present means constantly discovering something new. Moreover, if we are open to the changes of reality, we can guarantee ourselves that things will be different somehow. Things will be the same only when we ourselves expect the usual, albeit unpleasant, turn of events and thus program ourselves for it. 829. Buddhists claim that the present is beautiful. We must agree that the present day again gives us a chance for understanding, for acquiring, for preserving our precious personal experience. To love the present day is to thank life for giving us the day again. Now is a moment of timelessness, it is eternity. Our whole life is made up of now, and only realizing and properly disposing of the present moment is our chance to walk the right middle way. According to the Buddha's teachings, we are what we think. No one has cancelled the materiality of thought. And if a person has bad, evil thoughts today, he will get their realization tomorrow. If a person speaks and acts with light intentions, he will always be happy. It's better to fill your brain with right, good thoughts. Otherwise, bad thoughts and intentions will destroy us. Where does harmony live? Only within us. And the key to it is in the minute-by-minute feeling of the joy of life, of existing reality, in the various assumptions of what if. These are the people who have already passed, to them is what they have acquired, and to you is what you have acquired, and you will not be asked about what they did. Current 2:141. One cannot hope for an uncertain future by being too dismissive of the possibilities of the present. The weight of the future added to the weight of the past that you heave upon yourself in the present makes even the strongest stumble along the way, so said Dale Carnegie. 831. Living in the present is a sublime philosophy of being. It is living in the extraordinary fullness of physical and spiritual dimensions, in their maximum intensity. It is this incandescence of all the inner forces of man that expands all the best possibilities of his future, that gives them truly resplendent possibilities. To regain awareness of every moment of existence. To wake up in reality, this is the task set by both spiritual teachers, gurus of the past and psychotherapists of today. And they all recommend the use of certain techniques. 832. Technique 1. Confuse yourself. Let's give ourselves the task of eating for one day, holding the main appliance with the wrong hand that we are used to. For 1 week, we will take a different route to work. We will do any habitual work slowly, solemnly, and carefully. As if we were carrying a bowl of precious drops of living water in the desert. Technique 2. Speech control. For exactly 1 day let's exclude the word no and its substitute not from our speech. Let's try to make do with other linguistic means to explain our thoughts. Let us try to consciously carry the statement I am. After some time we will connect to it the second statement I can. These statements, mantras, should be pronounced consciously, not in a cursive manner. Technique 3. Conscious reading. Let's take any text and read it 3 times. The first time, as we usually read to ourselves. The second time, as if we were reading it aloud to another person so that he or she would understand it. The third time we read the text as if it were a coded message written for us personally to solve our problems. Technique 4. Conscious breathing. 5 minutes a day let's pay attention to how we breathe. What is the duration of inhalation and exhalation, which of them lasts longer? If inhale, we take in more than we give out. And if we exhale, we give out more. If we pause between inhaling and exhaling, it is a sign of distrust. There are some other activities that promote mindfulness. Watching the rising sun at dawn, its light clears our consciousness, or watching the sunset. A lot of people do this intuitively. Singing. And listen to music. A pleasant melody sets us in a harmonious mood. And with our voice we tune our instrument, and our thoughts come in order. To draw abstractions without thinking about anything, this is how we manifest our hidden moods, this is how we can free ourselves from inner tension, which we often do not notice. All of these techniques lead us to awareness of ourselves in the world, to paying attention to our true values. Being in the moment. Here and now provides the most effective state for reacting to external events. The absence of internal dialogues and the like creates additional energy for the impulse to act. One who lives in the present is an extraordinary realist and an extraordinary idealist at the same time. Realist, because he uses the pure reality of this very day, it's not illusory but earthly, concrete here and now, when relationships, positions, opportunities, ideas are maximized. An idealist because one has to be a truly open and committed person to perceive the present without clinging to the past or fearing the future. Where is the bread that was eaten yesterday? The Talmud says, the entire Torah speaks only of the present. 833. The desired but hidden is called a mystery. If a person reads the Torah and feels that it speaks about him, he is considered to have begun the study of the secret Torah, Torah Anistar. As he progresses spiritually, he learns exactly what the Torah says about him, and the Torah from secret becomes open, manifest, Torah Anigal. This is why total immersion is so strictly stipulated in the rules of Torah reading. Absolute attention and concentration on the process of reading the holy book. During the Torah reading, all those present are obligated to remain silent and listen attentively. There is a custom to follow the reading by the typographically printed Humash, Pentateuch. The one called to the Torah and the reader are obligated to stand, feeling trembling, as if they were present at the giving of the Torah. They are not even allowed to lean on anything, unless their physical condition requires it. The rest of those present, according to the letter of the Alacha, are permitted to sit, rising only when the one called to the Torah recites Barha. However, listening to the Torah reading while standing is highly commendable. During the Torah reading, it is forbidden to leave the synagogue unless absolutely necessary. To one who does so, our sages refer to the Torah's words, for he has despised the word of Gd. Bamidbar, 1531. 834. This is how Judaism teaches its followers to live important moments in the here and now, developing the ability to maximize their inclusion in what is happening. Today, in a time of all-consuming individualism, people are able to choose how to organize their lives, careers, and personal relationships. It would seem that the key to the joy of life is in their hands. However, for many people, happiness is still somewhere far away. They are dissatisfied with their lives. It often seems to them that nothing pleases them and they lack a lot for happiness. He said, "O Musa, I have chosen you before men for my messages and my word. Take what I will give you and be thankful." Quran 7:144. So how do you treat your present with joy? Psychologists recommend analyzing all the things we already possess today. For example, an interesting job, a good education, a person we love and who loves us is near us, etc. The list can be quite long. Once we compile it, we will realize that we actually possess real wealth today. 835. It is necessary to put our past behind us. We should not dig into the mistakes we once made. That time is gone. Self-mobilization or longing for the elapsed time will do no good, because what is past cannot be changed. One must concentrate on the present. It is it that paves the way to the future. People quickly get used to good things, a roof over their heads, a good job, a regular salary. But happiness based solely on external conditions cannot last forever. The gloss of the new washes off very quickly. Soon our new acquisitions become ordinary, not causing such a violent reaction as in the beginning. They will no longer be enough to provide a mental uplift for a long period of time. The phenomenon of hedonic adaptation 836 will not be long in coming, and we will feel that the new purchases do not produce the same effect. Often the desire to have something unavailable makes us unhappy. We need to focus on the present and set new, realistic goals. Surround ourselves with things that really make us happy. Do we like music? Listen to your favorite songs more often. Do we love flowers? Let's put a bouquet on the desktop. It may seem like the simplest of manipulations, but they will have an effect. Martha Washington, First Lady of the United States, wife of the first President of the United States George Washington, once said, "Much of our happiness depends on our character, not our circumstances." It is our attitude and disposition in life that plays the most important role in the perception of everything that happens to us. 837. And the oil is not gotten forever. Nor is Holy Week forever. A person in good spirits is capable of many things. Erich Fromm in his book To Have or to Be, wrote, "Possession refers to things, they are stable and describable. Being, on the other hand, refers to human experience, which in principle cannot be described. The prerequisites of the modus of being are independence, freedom, and the presence of critical reason. The main characteristic of the modus of being is activity, but not external, in the sense of employment, but internal, meaning the productive use of one's human potencies. To be active means to renew oneself, to grow, to pour out one's feelings, to love. To break out of one's isolated self, to have a deep interest in the world, to strive passionately, to give 838. To be is to live fully every minute without looking back or looking far ahead. The great Omar Khayyam wrote, "Do not mourn, mortal, yesterday's losses, do not measure today's deeds by tomorrow's measure, do not believe the past or the coming minute. Believe the present moment, be happy now." The principle of here and now was formulated as far back as the ancient Romans, Latin for hic et nunc. Seneca said, "It is foolish to make plans for life without being the master of even tomorrow." Even earlier, the Greek sage Pythagoras said the same thing, "The great science of living happily is to live only in the present." The winged Latin expression carpe diem, literally translated, catch, every day, belonging to Horace, has its analogues in the culture of many nations. In the wise Japanese parable on the tea ceremony also captures the essence of that elusive here and now moment. The man of vanity prepares a fine tea ceremony in expectation of future praise, fame, and honor. His lot is tears of disappointment. His labor is in vain. One cannot live through the past, and one cannot retrieve the past. The enlightened one knows in advance that his labor is in vain. But he still prepares his tea ceremony in the expectation that he will soon be forgotten, blasphemed, and the short memory of people. So why does he do it, weirdo? You see, he enjoys the very process of opening an antique tin can. He wants to fill his with the smell of dried jasmine flowers. And what do we fill this moment with?